after seeing Sky News reporting on Twitter that negotiators from Israel, the US, Egypt, and Qatar have agreed in Paris on a framework for the release of the remaining American and Israeli hostages in phases.
All right. Hello. Okay, so sorry, my two messages probably don't make much sense. We were looking for sellers to be up in this 22 to 25 area, and it needs to become supportive before you really want to be looking longs. But the reason why I said if we're going to break the highs, if we're going to do this move outside of this area on ES and NQ, you want the Russell to be able to hold Globex low, right? So we basically have done this full move to the downside here, and now we're looking to see if the Russell can build into this higher low. If we can do this move and we can break back over this opening range mid to VWAP area, then you should be able to get kind of a move back out and a break over this area on ES. Until that happens, you have to be very careful because
for the week.
Russell looks terrible, right? So as long as the Russell looks terrible, you got to be very careful in trades. The general kind of idea of where we're headed is you need a break over this 2250 to 25 area on ES for upside. And then below us, there's really not much until we break below the 16. This is kind of your range that we're trading in right now. So you're just basically seeing if the Russell can maintain a higher low, and if that is the case, then I kind of expect us to at least come up to test 22-25 area, top of our range on EF. As of yet, we don't really have a great answer. All that we see is that the Russell is still not able to really show much strength. So with that, right, like there's not all that much we can really say other than Russell's still weak, but ES, NQ, RTY are all holding higher lows. So we do have at least a buyer who's attempting, but not much follow through. So again, like I'm not going to be very bearish until we break below 16s, or like the Russell starts to lead below opening range low, Globex low, and then holds that as resistance. Until then, I'm kind of looking at this as a potential bottoming or a push back up to the high of our range across the board. But we're pretty range bound between 22 12s, right? With like that's like your larger range, and then you've got like this 18 to 16 area as your first bounce area where you're looking for buyers. Yeah, there, this is what it looks like on like a 30-minute chart I'm watching. These are like your major levels where price could go here. See how we're just like oscillating right at the mid node in this huge balance? So there's really not too much of a move that can happen here until we show on either one of these edges that we want to leave, or it's just going to just continue to kind of oscillate in this garbage. So until we get like a break and hold out of one of these sides, you should just expect that price is going to basically just continue to oscillate within this distribution. It's the most logical thing that you kind of assume, right? Like this is clearly where sellers are, this is clearly where buyers are. Any questions with that? Or do we understand that like into this 22 to 25 area, you should be expecting sellers? Into this 16 to 12 area, you should be expecting buyers. Sorry. Yeah, you should be expecting sellers at the highs. You should be expecting buyers at the lows of this range until we start to show acceptance in either one of these directions. Have to just kind of assume that this is where price is going to continue to oscillate between these two zones. So we're just going to be watching for signs that it no longer wants to do that, but understand that this is kind of our range here. And to like even get some like greater context, this is Friday's POC area for the market profile as well as the volume profile.
According to traders,
on the shift down at the
oil
lows,
prices rise amid
and
stronger Brent
this is
and
value
softer
high
freight
from Friday.
trades.
So like until we break over Friday's value high, why the hell do you think we're going anywhere else? We're just going to continue to oscillating in the range we've been oscillating in. That's the general idea here.
So the Bank of England sells £799.9 million of bonds in auction and receives £1.98 billion in bids. An APF gilt sale operation cover ratio was 2.47.
Just waiting it out. I think as soon you can probably take your first little grab if you didn't buy the Russell low on a hold of 22s on a look above on Globex high, a little bounce off like this, like we've drawn. Until then, you kind of have to treat this edge as where sellers should be, you know. But I think coming up to test 25s probably makes on a hold of 2150. So then you're kind of just chopping. I know that was probably a lot, but like the general idea is just what I posted in Discord. Like there's not too much more than those two areas. Now it's just about like how do we react here, right, into this opening range mid VWAP on the Russell off of these higher lows, which we were expecting, and do we get continuation or do we lose all momentum? Does that cause NQ plus RTY to both reject and push down? And if that happens, what should we be expecting on ES? If both of those lose momentum, downside, right? Be interesting. Should at least get some movement here. Come up into it. So for longs, I think like your first trigger should be if we can push over Globex high and then we bid off of it. And you should be able to play that up to like 25. That'll be your first little like attempt. Just need to see Russell be able to maintain higher lows up into VWAP. I think always playing off of like the overnight lows or highs is probably like your first easy trade in the morning to attempt. Just like if you're looking for some sort of like range break or a reversal, these are the levels that you should start to pay attention to, especially if we don't have a ton of context. It's still like probably the most valuable information that you have before like we generate new data on the day, right? New market generated information. Your overnight high and low is pretty solid. And it's just the same trades that we always use, right? Which is just like waiting for the Russell to come down in an area of interest, watching to see if we can maintain higher lows, and then just playing off of that ability to then see the whole market kind of move in a direction together. We're always going to want a directional move that has energy from the overall market, because we have the most potential, the highest probability to actually get that move. It's kind of situations happen. You know, you're gonna miss some rotations, but as long as we can get some relief bounces from the overall market together, like our chances of making money go up quite a bit, and the probability of a directional move goes up quite a bit. We can find an area where Russell and NQ both show that bounce potential. So yeah. These are the only areas that really matter. We'll clean up charts in a second. We were scalping on Friday on a much smaller time frame, so there's a lot of lines. We'll have to see if this is a breakout or a trap here. Watching Russell for our reaction as we mentioned supply. I'd like to be able to see opening range mid and VWAP become supportive here, or a continuation up on the overall market. We are at our Globex high, our overnight high on ES. This like 22. So this is the level that we want to see a breach and hold on upside. Not, then we will traverse back down to the lows of the range. See if NQ can get a bounce here into VWAP. Or if we will continue to trade within. I want the Russell to get here. We want upside. So right now, there's really only like 2 trades on my mind. The first one is a much smaller scalp where we're looking for this move into 25s. The second one is going to be a short that basically from this 25 pushes us back down to the lows of this range. So there's a long opportunity on the hold of Globex high, and then there's also the short opportunity on the failure to make this 25 supportive once we get up there. You need to see basically this become supportive for a push up for continuation, or this will continue to act as our kind of like top of range. Like there's no real clear answer here until we see NQ and RTY be able to hold and find a bounce together here at the highs. If you want any sort of move up, we need to see the overnight high become supportive. And then we need to test 25s. Morning, Rory. Russell still looks fine. Just waiting on NQ to get back over VWAP, or this we'll have another leg down. Yes, kind of just in the middle of the range here. Russell's still leading up. NQ attempting here at opening range mid. Bounced opening range low. So just need to see if we can build at the middle of our range on NQ, right? Top of our range on ES. Top of our range on the Russell. Again, for upside, we need to see Globex high or overnight high, whatever you want to call it, on ES to become supportive. Trade up to 25s. Failure here, and then I'll look back below, value area low. Will result in a push back down to POC again. Globex high holding so far in ES off the bid, pushing into our 25. That's your first risk off, so you just want to be moving stops up into that because we don't know if this will continue to hold the high of the range or if we will come back down. Russell testing Globex high now. Top of our range. This should result in our next leg, regardless of where we're going. So just keep an eye as we come up into 25s. What we want is from buyers is to be able to start to build out this 25 to 21, 75 area. At no point do I want to see us break below back into value and then make like our offer then sit there, or that can lead back down. We just want to see strength up here, continuation, or we'll continue to just trade within the range.
So we're looking now to the Fear and Greed Index. It's currently sitting at 75 out of 100, which indicates extreme greed, and the Crypto Fear and Greed Index, 55 out of 100, which indicates greed. Keeping an eye on the VIX as well, it's currently up since the open at around 4.23%. It's at around 13.81.
At 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, we get the Dallas Fed Manufacturing Business Index, forecast -11.8 on the prior -9.3. Nigeria sets QUA BOE crude OSP for February at dated plus $2.11 a barrel.
What's up, Kolsky?
The euro extends fall to $1.079 against the US dollar, lowest since December 13th.
Just watch 16, I think. Or recovery of 20s. Whatever comes first. Again, there's really no log unless you're buying off of overnight high for a push into 25s, or you're buying by the bottom of range at 16. It's short continuation if 1250 becomes resistance. Until then, this is just your range. We trade between 25 and 12.
At 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, we get the Dallas Fed Manufacturing Business Index, forecast -11.8 on the prior -9.3.
Off of this, look below 16s. You want a recovery. If you're looking for us to hold this range, you want to see a look below and then a rebid off of 16, and 16 to become supportive for a push back up to 20s. We keep an eye on the Russell into VWAP with that level just in the bottom of this range to see if we're going to continue to hold. If at any point we, on the look below, 16 becomes resistance, we look for 12s. So, keeping an eye on the Russell as we come into this VWAP. This is where we want to see relief if we're going to continue to hold.
US Defense Secretary Austin says neither he nor Biden will tolerate attacks on US forces and will take all necessary actions to defend them. So Defense Secretary Austin expresses outrage over deaths of US troops in Jordan drone attacks. 1 minute remaining. Ten seconds.
News coming out in 10 seconds. I'm only repeating it because I don't know if people have the news bot muted.
Still waiting for the data. Minus 27.4, minus 27.4. That's lower than the forecast. Minus 11.8.
You need to see the Russell get back over Globex high here, overnight high, EH high, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. Just understand that it's at that 93 level. If you bought 16s, this is your first risk off into 20s. There it is. Move stops up accordingly. Not my problem. Trade has worked. I just went flat. I will look for more longs if we push over 25s and hold. Or recover the 21s, the 25 area, make it supportive. It's the same stuff as before. We're just trading in a range. So watch what happens to the Russell here. If it fails to make a higher low and a higher high, just keep in mind that this could be the beginning of our downtrend on RTY. We want to see a push over this 93. I will always trade ORL into RM and take profits, especially when it's also our POC. So all we've done is trade from value high back down to value low, and now from value low we have retested into POC. So this is your risk off until proven otherwise. Nothing's tells me yet that we're going to push down, but I just need to take profits. I don't know if we're going to get continuation or not. What we want to see is something like this to build, right? Acceptance back above POC, the ability to then hold value high, and then trade up into yesterday's value high. If 16 becomes our offer, just remember that we'll trade down to 12s. At 12.50 area on EOS. Really, that's your Friday value area low, our TPO, POC from Friday. So there's just a lot of participants there at that 12. It's just the bottom of the range. Pushing into it now. Watch our 16 reoffer here. If we pierce it, I would like to just see that then rebid and hold. Where I want the offer to now basically just be placed here for continuation down. Russell, still not convincing that this isn't gonna hold. Watching Russell into our overnight high. Need to see if it can break this time or if our seller will still be sitting here. On this look above, I do not want to see us lose 16 now on EOS. Remember, we've got a pivot at 20s above us on ES, and a pivot below us at 12s. So just until we breach either one of those and then start to bid, we just need to respect this as our range. Russell leading up right now, NQ sideways, but we do have a bit of a delta divergence at the lows. Still just trading between the 16 to 20. Really not much here. We don't want to lose 16s on ES. NQ really not showing any signs of life as of yet. Bit of divergence, just kind of showing some absorption at the lows, but other than that, you are really relying on the continuation of momentum on the Russell for any sort of upside. Failures here, I'd be looking for a move below 530 on NQ and then our offer to hold there if you want kind of a break to the downside. That would kind of be your leading signal here. It'd be a failure, then seller control for a push down. Right, until then you have opening range low and you have opening range mid here. So there's like not a huge area to play around other than just understanding where buyers have been. And if these buyers flipped off sides and then become our sell, then you can kind of pick that we'll probably be heading down. So until then, there's really not much to say. You just don't want to see us lose 16s on ES, and we need to trade over 20s. So far, our warning plan of this being our range is doing just fine. Personally, I think this looks a little too obvious for buyers to try to look for a breakout. So my general instinct right now is that we'll probably get a liquidity grab below. Like the setup on NQ just looks a little too picture perfect from like a triangle perspective. To me, it looks like we'll probably get the push down. But, we'll see. I'm flat. Just with how our profile's building today, it's just an iffy area to try to take a position for longs, unless you have like a, I don't know, like 1 point stop on ES. It's because of how we're like basically in a P on the day, P profile. So we have like, we need to hold 16s, or there's like a large chance that we can traverse back down. See our profile shape for all of our volumes here, and we have this ledge that we're basically just clinging to right now. So like if we lose this and this becomes our offer, I'm going to be looking for a push down like that, and then we'll have to see what happens down into this. Until then, you just have a very tight range that we're trading within, right? But this is looking like quite the cliff as of right now. I'm not really bullish until we make this high supportive. I'm looking a lot more bearish for this down here. You can treat this as an edge still, but like what we're not looking for is for sellers to gain control of this 16 level. If they do, then you have to look for a potential move to down into this 12. We have buyers fail to hold 16s here. Ideally, you're looking for like this 1550 16 to hold bid if you want a pushback up the 20s. The Russell can't break the highs and we lose this. I think there's probably a good chance for push down, but nothing no confirmation as of yet. For me, really the only thing that there is here is like if you're looking on a smaller time frame or you're watching the DOM, I'm just watching this 16 as our pivot. Really this 1550, 16. Like it's a very small area, but it is significant with how we are trading. Where this is either like it's a clear auction pivot right now. So in these looks below, I'm looking for then this to become supportive on bid and for us not to lose it. And then it's the same thing on the reverse, where on a push above, we're then looking for on a look back below for this to then be the offer. That's literally it. And then you just start playing it back up to 20. But we're watching to see how price reacts on this pierce below or this pierce above, and then the retest of this area. Like this is clearly a failure, and then sellers stepping in to create that lower high at where we want to see the bid, and that would give you a push down. Whereas this is that look above, and then the bid stepping in at our higher low for a push up. This is just kind of how I'm approaching or looking at this area on the DOM. Just really want to see if you want more upside. Like I want to see the bid basically just hold this 1550 to 16 on any look below. If this then flips to our offer and we see a strong seller positioned here, we will most likely get down to okay, going back over to a minute. Again, if you don't want to trade this range, I would just be waiting for a break and hold of 25s for upside, or a break and hold below yesterday's value low or Friday's value low at that 1250. It's 11 o'clock in a minute and a half. Watch for a reaction into that as we approach this edge, right? So as we get the hourly shift, again, I'm really just keeping an eye on this like 1550, 16 area. If we see the offer there into the new hourly, I really do think that we get more downside. And just how we're positioned, just it looks garbage. $30 seconds until new hourly. So as we look up into this is where you'd be expecting your seller to try to be positioned. This 16 to VWAP. Just VWAP to opening range low. And we're looking for a pierce below 1250 for continuation down. If that fails and that seller fails there, then we continue to trade in balance. I really hate how slow we've been moving last week. I'm so excited for these ER weeks to be over with so we can get some volatility back in the market. So hard for these charts to feel clean, having 3 of them up on this monitor. I just immediately feel messy with how small a range we're trading in. There's not much I can really do about it. I think the ES chart is probably as clean as I can get it. It's a bit too slow. Like, it's already 11:12. Ugh. Ugh. What the... Like, I'm not doing full day sessions. Yeah. But, like, the plan won't change. Like, it is what it is. Pretty clear cut. There's a decent amount of potential here for us to come back up to like 21, 22. We hold 16s. Just keeping an eye on the Russell to see if it rejects again at these highs, or if we're able to hold this edge now as supportive.
Fed bids for 3-month bills total $8.2 billion, and Fed bids for 6-month bills total $7.2 billion.
Like, I truly believe that if you were just patient and you wait for acceptance above yesterday, Friday value low or value high, like, you will get a really nice. If you really hate trading a range, right? Like, just wait for those areas. If not, then there's like some very clearly defined levels that we have on our chart right now. $16 buyers still holding. Again, your first risk off is always going to be into that 20. ORL to ORM. As soon as we start to hold that, then you do that trade. Just keep an eye with like the Russell as your top and bottom signal, right? As soon as the Russell finds a low, you have a level to play off of. It's like, oh, okay, we can go back up. Gonna bear with this kind of trading for basically just this week, and then we should be back to normal next week, or at least 3/4 of the way there. This week's gonna be just garbage. A lot of tech ER, so once that gets out of the way, we might actually be able to get some solid trades in. Have to survive until then. That is so what do I mean by that? It's just like
At 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, we get the US 3-month bill auction,
That's
prior high yield of 5.225%, and a prior bid cover of 3.03, and the US 6-month bill auction, prior high yield of 5.02%, and a prior bid cover of 2.92.
So what I mean by that is just like, if you're used to trading a certain way in a certain size, until we get the volume back and the volatility back that your strategies use, you need to be trading half size. Because you're not going to get the moves that you want, and you're not going to get the acceleration that you want, that you're expecting. And you can't keep the same amount of risk on that you're used to, because it's not going to be as actionable and timely as if we had the same amount of volume as like our normal volume, right? And our normal kind of participants in the market. It's going to take much longer for these moves to play out, and you're going to have a lot more areas of chop, and then you're going to have very aggressive one-sided moves to kind of stop out everyone who's in that chop. And you don't want to be on the wrong side of that trade, overly positioned, because you're impatient or you're trying to make up for a lack of trades, and so you're over leveraging on the wrong side and then dropped. You want to trade in market conditions that work for your strategies, and you don't want to over leverage to try to make up or compensate for the lack of trading or the lack of, just from boredom, trying to, meet a daily goal. That's how you blow up your account. Really just that simple. The goal for this week should be to survive and either make slight profits or just be net neutral, I think, until we see some more volatility step in and volume kind of come back. Like, you just need to survive this week, literally. Like, one of the first rules that we've kind of taught you is like understanding where you have edge, right? Like, is this the market conditions that qualify, right? Like, is this one of the things that you need in your strategy? Do you need movement? Do you need participants to be actively participating in the market for your strategies to work? Are you mostly a momentum trader? Are you mostly a mean reversion trader? Like, what are your strategies revolve around? And do we have the market conditions that your strategies do well in? Or is it the opposite? Because I think for a lot of you, it's the opposite. Like, this is just not a conducive environment for a lot of the things that we've taught. Like, there's a reason why we don't tell you to trade Globex, right? The same things. Like, it's just the lack of liquidity, the lack of value on the shorter time frame levels makes it very hard to scalp effectively with the risk tolerance that we've kind of like set for the strategies.
At 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, we get the US 3-month bill auction, prior high yield of 5.225% and a prior bid to cover of 3.03. We also get the US 6-month bill auction, prior high yield of 5.02% and a prior bid to cover of 2.92.
They reset, right? I didn't do one last week. Not gonna make it. I'll do them with you today, Varg. I'm working on looking at higher time frame nodes via the fixed range files. I don't know if I'd be using the fixed range tool for 30 minutes. You just use your weekly profile and your daily profiles. Like they're already, like the areas of importance are already there for you. Like POC, value low, value high, for each day. There's really no reason to do that. Like you have your nodes, right? So like for, yeah. Like look at the areas that I'm referencing right now. They're just like Friday value high, Friday value low, and then just today's levels. That's it. And then like our target is just the overnight low at 902. And on Friday, like our levels were like Wednesday and Thursday's value area low as our support, and then just like Friday's value high. Like the value is being given to you via those levels, right? So I think if you're looking at nodes, then you're just looking to play the edges of the node. You just mark the high volume node edge high and low if you wanted to do that, and you just watch for reactions as we push into them. And I don't think there's specifically a time frame that on. You're just watching as we trade around a node. How do we look when we come back into it?
Shortly expecting the results of the US 3 and 6 month bill auctions, I'll lead with the 3-month bill high yield.
I don't think it's like a time frame issue. Like for me, right, like you've got a scuffed version of TPO now, on TradingView. You have one that'll do the sessions, and you have one that'll do time. So you can get a pretty like good idea now of where like important levels to mark. It's pretty scuffed, I'm not gonna lie, but you can at least still get relative idea of where your value is being traded and significant areas of importance, right? So like just based off of this, we understand that there's a balanced price area below us that we should be coming back into, and this is also where your node edges are. So there's multiple like TPOs here that are of importance, but this is also just your node edge that you want to be coming down and trading into. So if we are going to break out of this balance area, I'd be looking for a structural fill down to this level. This has nothing to do with the time frame. It's just understanding where we've been balancing and understanding where these node edges have developed. So like turning off all of these indicators because they don't matter. We can just mark like where our value highs and lows have been setting up for both like our market profile as well as our volume profile, and then creating a zone out of that area of importance. Like even without that, we can clearly see that this is a pivot just with price either finds acceptance above or acceptance below. And when we pierce below, we're looking for a retest, or this will then trade within this range.
5.21%, 5.21% bid cover ratio, 2.84,
Just like this zone,
2.84.
very similar.
The US sells $87 billion in 3-month bills and awards 58.75% of bids at high.
So for me, like it's just understanding like where our pivots are, and like if we're going to be able to hold this 25, to me this shows that we'll see a retest of our seller that's above, right? But if we fail, like we've done over and over and over and over and over again, if we fail to find acceptance on a retest of 25s, which are these wicks here, then like this is the top of our range. So we know that
US 6-month bill high yield 4.985%, 4.985% bid cover ratio 3.14, 3.14. The US sells $77 billion in 6-month bills and awards 95.16% of bids at high.
You know that deep box. So we know that like price. What do you mean I went mute? Oh yeah, because there's news. Hello. I don't know how you guys have that news spot muted. It's actually important. You're screwing yourself. Like, yeah, it's annoying, but why would you want to be in a trade not understanding what's going on in the market? Okay, so like, yeah, we've got a range here. This is where we're trading. So until we show acceptance below this area, like, we will continue to trade this area. And the same thing goes for this, where it's like, we need to hold and show support above this level. And these are just like our value areas from previous days. We can see that we're just trading in a balance here. Like, oh yeah, but we are holding higher lows, so it's whatever. We are pushing up, but we're seeing failures at the highs. So I don't really care. I do care about these higher lows, definitely, in a sense. But like, I'm more interested in these horizontal zones than this line that I just made up that has no real like significance. So I'm just watching, how do we react into this low, this being Friday value low, right? That's what I care about. Until proven otherwise, like I will trade this range. What we're looking for is acceptance below, and then we should get a push down to this. After this, we can then look for a push down into this low, where we've seen bounces occur multiple times. But like, these are just like basic volume profile levels. And like that's how I usually do it. Just turn on your session profiles. Garbage on. You can clearly see like where value is being found. So like previous POC to value high is now a zone for, because our Wednesday high of our balance is here, and then our value from Thursday value high here. So like, to me, this becomes a zone. This is Friday as well, actually. And then like this zone up here from that same day where our POC was above, like I'm just going to mark this area. This was Wednesday's value high. So until I see acceptance above that and that becomes supportive, I'm going to think that every attempt above is just going to be a sell until I see like that hold. And so I create like a chart like this that just has our basic important pivots. And then on a smaller time frame chart, I'll mark our individual little like auction pivots for the day. But like as we come up into these areas, they have significance to me for the larger kind of like path, which we've drawn out of like where we think price is going to go as long as we're holding these areas. And then I go into a smaller time frame, and then we then trade, you know, our developing POC to VWAP or whatever, or to wherever the opening range low is on the day. And then those become little scalp trades between our range that we're trading on the higher time frame. I mean, that's the best I can give you, Singe. Like I don't, it's not rocket science. It's not something that is incredibly predictive on the shorter, like we can mark out zones, but I don't know when we're going to trade into those areas, right? We rely on the smaller time frame to give us trading opportunities because it's harder. The larger of a time frame that we go, the less likely that trade is to play out. I can't tell you what participants are going to do for the next 5 days. I can tell you what participants are doing right now in the moment, right? And so that is why I trade on a 15-second, a 1 minute, and a 15-minute chart, because I can predict with a higher certainty what's going to happen on a much smaller time frame compared to trying to predict what's going to happen on an hourly or a daily basis and then give direction. This is why I usually don't fuck with Elliott Way traders, because I think that it is so incredibly hard to predict both time in a trade as well as where price is going to go on a higher time frame. I just don't think you have the tools off of historical information to know where price is going to go in a time in both a, I think it's easier to understand where price is going to go directionally, but to give also context of when we are going to get there in a what am I even trying to say? Giving you an idea of where price is going to like head towards and like, you know, price target and where we're going to approach is a lot easier. But then to give a date, time, and execution area and be like, we're going to get there by this date, I think is just kind of like BS, to be honest. On a higher time frame, you know, you just don't have the information. Something can shift at any point. And if it was that easy, right, you'd have algorithms that were trading that kind of stuff on a daily, like it would be moot. Like it would be priced in immediately. So like on the shorter time frame though, we can see where participants are pushing price and when volume comes in and where our nodes are on the smaller time frames. So we can take advantage of understanding where short-term buyers and sellers are and trade with them up into these magnets. But like on a higher time frame, you don't have any edge. This is why dollar cost averaging into stocks is just a better alternative if you're not just going to day trade scalp. Because you just don't, like, we're going to go up eventually. Like, it's better to just be in it for the long haul and dollar cost average in and you'll make money. But like if you're day trading, I personally don't see, I have not seen anyone show that they can consistently say where price is going to go and be timely about it, where they're not taking in huge amounts of drawdown. And if they could do that, they would be the greatest trader of all time, right? And you should be able to reproduce it actionably and make an algorithm around it, and you'd be hired by a hedge fund, because if they know where price is going to go, right, then you have an infinite money grid. So that's just me. That's how I feel. It's just like, it doesn't make sense if you don't think about it. If you like actually think about it, like the idea of being able to predict that on like all different dimensions, right, of like time and direction, it just this is why like options trading is so hard. It's because like having that time element in makes trading so much harder. It's easy to predict where price is going to go, like magnet wise from volume, historical volume, but to then be like, oh yeah, we're going to do it now and it's going to take X amount of days. This is why options trading is very hard. Yeah, of course, because how would you know that? How would you know the win? You don't. This is, again, why dollar cost averaging into stocks and just buying SPY is going to be a much better strategy than what 95% of hedge funds are trying to do. And that's why 95% of hedge funds didn't make more money. They underperformed SPY. Like, it's, you just can't. And if they can't do it, why do you think you can, right? So for me, this is why I gravitated toward day trading and smaller size scalps, because I think that there's actual edge there for retail. Because we can watch order flow come in, and then we can trade with these shorter time frame participants. And we don't need the larger moves to make money. We just need to be able to know where to put risk on, right, on an edge, where we then see a buyer step in. We can then watch times and sales in our order flow, confirm direction, and then we can push up into our known seller. And it's like, oh, okay, that was only 5 points or 20 points. But like, that's all you need. I don't need like a move of a higher magnitude than that to make money. That was my rant for the day. And again, this is why I always say, like, levels are easy. It's execution is hard, right? And I will continue to say that, because once you understand, like, volume profile structure and just, like, where value is from a historical perspective, like, okay, great, you have levels. Okay, now what do you do with those levels? How do we execute? Where's your edge? Right? So, like, we can create levels all day, and, like, price will go to that point. Go there at some point, but like that isn't like, there's no edge there to make money. So like 95% is going to be execution and understanding where and when you should be executing. And this wasn't like a hate piece on Avery, because like I think Avery's done a great job incorporating a lot of these order flow mechanics and like the shorter time frame trading stuff of like the auction to make Elliott Wave a lot more actionable. But I still think that like anyone who's doing like longer term like targets and stuff like that with a time frame, I just like that's the stuff where I lose complete. Like, I think it's just, it doesn't make any sense. But like the shorter time frame stuff of like getting entries and then like those targets, I think is completely reasonable from that perspective. But I think like a lot of those guys are starting to incorporate auction market theory stuff because it's actually giving you the execution that you need, right? Whereas like a lot of like the Elliott Wave concepts are giving you areas of interest where price could go, and like, but you still need the auction market theory to actually enter those trades. You still need the order flow to let you know if buyers are actually there, sellers are actually there. Or they're just going to be like lines on your chart, you know? So we just traded back up to the top of our range here, off of the hold of 16s in bid. Just move up stops if you're in this playing the range. There's really not much else here until you recover the overnight high here at 2175, and you are looking for a push and reclaim of our 25 level as we have drawn, or this will become the top of our range.
So just seeing via sources on Twitter here is the War Council in the Middle East discussing a 45-day truce in the Israeli-Palestine conflict. So this is Al Arabia reporting that the War Council is discussing a 45-day truce in the exchange for the release of 35 detainees. So just as a reminder, earlier it was reported that negotiators from Israel, US, Egypt and Qatar agreed on the framework for the release of the remaining American and Israeli hostages. Now just seeing this report from Al Arabia that the War Council is discussing a 45-day truce in exchange for the release of 35 detainees.
If you if you want to compare to see if your levels are good or not, remember that Mario puts out a higher time frame newsletter with 3 different paths with our important nodes marked, right? So you can always compare it to those and see if you have similar levels. He goes through those explanations and then the 3 pathing, right? Yeah, so I mean, like that's it. I'm not gonna give you a different answer than what you said, right? So again, just at the top of our range here. Need to see overnight high, Globex high become supportive, or this will be top. Hopefully, Euro close will be the catalyst that gets us out of this range. That's basically your last catalyst for me. If that doesn't work, you're gonna have Mario's for the remainder of the session, and you know, maybe you'll get something that period. But our last hope for my session is basically Euro close. Yeah. Morning, Gav. Is anyone trading this range? Or are you all just waiting for a breakout of balance? Nice. Because we have another week of ER, Gav. Don't expect much until this is over. Why would people be positioning into Microsoft, Amazon, Google earnings? It just doesn't make sense. It looks like NQ wants overnight high. We'll see if the Russell can break or if it'll lead here. I'm not sure which one leads. Either Russell leads down, we failed to hold a higher low, or NQ pushes into overnight high and that's the catalyst that pushes out. I just am not unsure as of yet. Right now, you really need to see Russell be able to maintain like an equal or higher low here, in my opinion, if you want more upside, or this will continue to just trade within balance. So if you're long, I would just move stops up if you're in from 12s or 16s or even like the 20 retest, just as we're coming into the top of the range. Keep an eye on our reaction on NQ, right, up into this high. And we need to see, I think, the Russell hold this low. I think if you get a break and hold of the overnight high, that you'll probably come up into our previous high here. What is this? 32s out of this area. Until then, kind of have to treat this as where sellers will step in again into 25s and into your opening range high to 91 on NQ. Are these circles helpful? You don't have to remember the levels that I just said. It's just there. Okay, cool. I'll keep using them then. To me, this is where our seller will be positioned until we see this become supportive. Then we can get a push up. Yes, testing Globex high here on retest. See if it'll stay bid. Watch to see if the offer sticks here at 22 on this retest into Globex high. If sellers hold this, then you get a pushback down to like 19, 18. Not too sure as of yet, but you don't want to see lower highs hold here. Just as we drew like on NQ as well. Like we're just looking to see if buyers can reclaim and then bid off of this, or if our offer is now here, right, to create that first lower high or that push back down. So like if we failed to hold value high, right, on the day, and then value high becomes resistance on a look back in, that is a profile setup that usually comes back down to POC and then value low. So it's something to keep note of. Failure to hold above value means that we usually will traverse back down. Note that we have Euro close incredibly soon. It's like your last catalyst to get over 25s and hold. But
SNB's Jordan says our expectation is that inflation will again rise a little.
Watch this 22.75, 23 to see if our seller is still here. This is where you'd want them to be positioned, and you now need to get price below 21.50, or this can squeeze up to 25s. So we want our seller to be here. Or again, this will push to 25s.
Qatar PM says a possible US retaliation over the attack on US soldiers would have an impact on hostage talks and regional security. And SMB's Jordan says regarding inflation, the situation has improved. It looks relatively good.
Jesus.
And SNB's Jordan says inflation should be below 2% in 2024.
I just think you want this 21.50 guy to continue to bid if you're bullish for a push up to 25s. I think if you're bearish, you want this 23 seller to hold and push below this 21.50 and make that offer. That's really all I got. All I'm seeing. I think you target down to 19s if you shorted 23s. I think if you're bullish, you just want this 21.50 to continue to bid and push back above. You want Globex high to basically just hold overnight high. As of right now, I'm a lot more inclined to give this to the buyers at 25 as long as this is holding. This is just such a weak selling pressure. You just need to see like a push over this 23 and then a hold, I think, some moment. And then we just can't see any absorption here. Just a push to 25 would be ideal. So slow, man. Jesus. I hope you guys have a better afternoon. Jesus. Yeah, I mean, if you're short, you don't want the Russell over this rebid reversal and stacked. Just where we're pushing into this node here. You want sellers to step in. For yes, you're just looking at Globex high. You're long, it's your first risk off into 25s. Man said, whoa. I know, it's a huge 2 points. Until we make 25 supportive, this will continue to just be the high. Need to see the Russell be able to continue here. What did I say about that 23, right? As soon as we're able to push over it, you go to 20 without fail. Like that was the only resistance that was there, was that seller, and he was like not very wrong. You need to hold that 2150 and just push. This is such a non-move though, as of right now. Like it's just still just chop. You just had a failure at the lows. Hopefully we don't get a failure at the highs now. Need to see the Russell be able to get over the seller. We want continuation, or we can look for NQ to come back down to Globex low, or sorry, Globex high at our 9250 before getting continuation up. So just keeping an eye on that 2350 above us for a retest of our overnight highs. Do we need to do this move first? Is all I'm basically saying. I don't have the answer for you yet. Need to see if Russell can breach. This was such an important pivot. The break. Now we just see if we can build here or if this will fail. Need buyers to continue to step in. Yeah, it is not fun. I'm on the right side of this trade and I'm still miserable. Watch your Globex high retest here on NQ. Your opening range high retest on ES. For any more upside, I'm just looking for a buyer to be positioned between this Globex high and opening range high. Just this candle that caused the spread push. Just want to see if there's passive liquidity waiting there on this retest. Which is just 2150 to 22, 23, I mean. Same levels we've been talking about. What's up, Kiz? You good? Are you just like looking for breakouts or not trading the balance, or what do you think was the issue? I hope at some point TradingView adds in a function where I can just have a line with a label always just anchored to the right, and it doesn't ever go to the left. And it just holds this edge. Hopefully that's an update that comes up at some point. Make charts just so much cleaner. Like, I don't need this yesterday value area high to be across my chart. I just need it to be labeled on this level at this price point.
The Energy Department buys 3.1 million more barrels for the oil reserve.
And like, yeah, you can do it with an indicator, but like depending on time frame, the granularity changes. So I'd rather just label it and call it a day. If I switch time frames, like that's gonna shift the level. It's so annoying. It's like the same thing where I just want it to show up on my DOM itself. Like put notes on a certain price level on my DOM. Would be very cool. There's like a pretty basic version of that inside and a lot of these where you can like have indicator labels on, but they like halfway work. They don't do as much as I'd want. I basically just want another column on a DOM that allows you to add notes. Be pretty nice. Yeah, but that should just be like a primary function on all of these. Like that's not like, why do you have to pay $500 for that? You know what I mean? Like, what is this? What? Oh, you got theta burned? Yeah, that makes sense. Hard to want to trade options on a balanced day. Goes back to my rant from earlier where it's like, we can predict levels, but I can't predict when those levels are going to be in play. Just garbage slow grind up. I'm glad you're not too down or just neutral though. That's good. It'll be better next week. It might even be better halfway through this week, to be honest. We just need some of these large players to start positioning again, or liquidity is going to be so dry. So you just got to think of every day as basically as an inside day until ER is done. Just think of it as you play balance until we see a clear hold and break out of balance. Are people in runners here, longs, or like what's the general consensus here? Off of the hold of overnight highs on NQ and Russell still pushing flat. I mean, I don't think there's any problem being flat into 25s, but this is where we're starting to try to see if buyers will break out of balance and push. Yeah, it's not great. Hopefully Mario shows up soon so I can leave. There he is. Yeah, micros definitely feel better. Especially being able to like average in without having to like, it makes drawdown a lot more manageable, and averaging in feels much better. Especially on this chop. Being able to take like a $50 hit while also building a position. Instead of just like taking a $100 hit after a $100 hit from a single contract on ES, trying to like perfectly time it. It's just like doesn't make sense. If you're on a small account, it just doesn't make sense. Even like a medium-sized account. And on days like this, just give yourself some wiggle room. Yeah. Which is the most important part. So I really truly do believe that you guys have proper setups. It's just the paper cuts, which aren't even paper cuts for most of you. They're more like bludgeons, huge gashes that you're taking on the downside drawdowns, trying to get into trades and then staying in bad trades. Like that's what's costing you. And you just have to, if you can limit those, like you just all of a sudden are profitable. I don't want to call them paper cuts, we're calling them hits with the crowbar, you know? Only what it is. I don't want you guys to like think that you missed a ton of trades today. Like you didn't. There's just not a ton. Like you were willing to try and like capture a few points, or you're like basically neutral in the day. Like I'm up like $400 here. Like there's nothing. I'm just trading ES, so there's not much. Like if you're trading NQ, you could be up a bit more. But like there's just, it is what it is. Like until we break out of this balance, you get like a couple opportunities, and now we're attempting to try to hold balance high. So like if we're able to hold here, awesome, right? You'll get an extended move, but until then, like we're really in a very tight range, in a very illiquid or low vol kind of environment. So like, you just shouldn't expect the same kind of movement or money that you make on days where we have high vol and are highly liquid, right? It just doesn't make sense to have the same expectations. Your goal is just to not nuke your account on these kind of days and to be net neutral or slightly up. Trying to have that same price target goal or like same amount that you're trying to make on a daily basis is just not, it's just not a real goal, because the market environment isn't the same every day and your strategies that you're using won't apply. So like, be real with yourself and have capital ready for when those days that do meet your criteria and are conducive to your strategies, right? Yep, true. We're just looking for value area highs to hold here. That's literally it. Globx and value high. We're just looking to see if we can build above. If we push back in and it becomes our offer, then we trade back down because we have a buy side failure. That's really all it is. Do we find acceptance outside of balance, or do we fail on the upside and then traverse back down to where buyer value was and try it all over again? What was that spam? I just looked over. I'm in, I'm out. So let's see if a buyer steps in here. This is your Globex high retest and your value retest. It's like, for me, you see a buyer here, or this will just flip offer, and then you just traverse back down. That 2150 all over again. This is now sellers trying to step in to hold us down, right? For that push back down into value. Oh, this is important. It's just so slow, so you have to be very careful.
Hello guys.
Whoa.
Are we having fun on this ER and FOMC week?
Just amazing, man.
What's up, Rory? It is nice to see you trading, my friend. Alright, what matters is you're here, buddy. That honestly might be more than I end up taking today. We'll see what happens, but
Oh, what a...
Rory's trades.
Oh.
Need that Rory Alpha.
What I told them here is like either we break back in off of the failure to break over yesterday's value high and hold, and then we just traverse back down to the bottom of balance, or we are able to build here at these Globex and opening range highs, right? And that can give us a push out and retest like Wednesday value high at 30.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's like really not much. The market is so slow.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Really just what?
Especially,
Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, when I get on and I can kind of tell, even without looking at range, just like how big the profile is.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like width. And it's like it's tiny today already.
So like right now we're just like contesting with like value high. Just want to see if sellers keep this down or not, or if we can push over and then like actually build here. Just every time we get up there, it's so slow on both sides. Russell seems to be a pretty solid leading signal though, as usual, but more so today even. Bottoming into ups. I'm not sticking around for the whole day.
No, I would not.
Just seeing if this works or not. Which way we go here?
Even
Probably give it 10 minutes.
These underlines that have ER this week are look so garbo today too. I mean, it doesn't look horrible.
Be right back. Proto, did you just ask if I'm in a position on YouTube instead of just asking me in Twitter? Yes. I have one short rudder left, and I'm unsure. We're seeing if I just want to see if 23s hold. Just 23 to 25. We just went back to 20s, which is whatever. It's, we know there's buyers there, but I have no clue. I just know, like, if we find acceptance back into value here, like, we back down, right? Until I see it become supportive and hold, like, I kind of have to lean direction. Just keeping an eye on the Russell to let us know if it's going to bottom out or not, because we have, like, NQ still holding just fine our area, opening range high to Lobex high. So I need to see sellers continue to step in at these lower highs. Yes, we want more downside. It's really a coin flip. It's too slow to make large trades. You probably stop me. And then I'm out. I'm just done. Push over 25s. I expect our offer to be there, but if it isn't, we'll just hold. And yeah, no problem. Sorry today is just like super boring. Again, this week's all about just surviving. Being patient. Don't overplaying your hand. Don't overexposing yourself, right? Don't over leverage. Because you're just trying to meet a daily goal. Setup's there or it's not. Yep. You have to constantly remind yourself of that, like, the most important thing. You want your account to still exist when the market conditions meet the criteria for your strategies. It should be like a no-brainer, but it's hard at the moment, especially with like daily goals. Screw yourself trying to make trades that don't exist.
This is one of the reasons I was pushing so hard for you guys to do like monthly, but rather quarterly goals. There are some weeks you're gonna have a really good time, and some weeks you're not. You need a way to buffer that mentally.
Great job, Kiss. Huge. What flavor vape liquid? Gotta go to the store. Go with like a dessert flavor, classical flavor, like a menthol. What are we thinking?
Classical music, violin flavored.
Yeah, the violin flavored one. Yeah.
Yeah, the rustic, preserved from Baroque era. So a little must on the end. Perfect.
Yeah. You don't know about the
Yes.
symphony line? Come on. Classic. What are we thinking? I know you're a dessert guy, right?
Yeah, fruit.
Fruit. What are the odds you get a super chat and stay longer? Say about 0%. 0%. I don't even know if we have super chats enabled. Later, Cass. Great job today. All right, we're back down to this 20. Moving my stops. I don't know if we get continuation. Hopefully we do. I'm not gonna bet the house on it. Just back to our opening range high on you. Need to see the Russell be able to break this low. Anything else? In an ideal world, we push back down to like 16. 25, 25. Yeah, I've just traded yesterday. No NQ.
Oh, sorry, I missed that message, Cass. Yes, we will be doing a class today. It'll be an indicator review.
Why would you do that, girl? Let's stay. That I say? Appreciate the dollar, bud. There's nothing to stay for. Like, we're actually sideways.
Yeah, I'm probably just like not gonna say anything for the next 3 hours, to be honest. Like, you can buy here. Oh, we're a point higher.
I
Maybe you
will.
should trim.
I will let you know how much they give us. I don't even know. There's, you know what it is? There's probably a minimum that we can't even take that out until we've like made enough money, and then they'll like give us a payout. It might be too small of an amount that we just, it's there forever.
It'll be more on. It'll be like a $2 tax on it.
Yeah, it's
After
something
fees and
ridiculous.
stuff. We'll lose $1.
Like on Twitch, even there was like a payout. I don't actually know how that works, because like I think our shorts have made like $1.50, huge money, you know. But like I don't know where that goes. Sure, just like to Tom. This is what I had, what I said. Like until then, like it's just bounce low, bounce high, and then just like failures. I'm sure like it'll shift, but this is what I talked about in the morning. It's like you need to see that 25 become support for upside, or you need to see like Friday's value low at 1250 become resistance for down. Until then, like you're just gonna be looking for peaks back in and then a directional pushback. That makes sense. Like this failure at 25s, then it became our offer. Then you just play it back down. But that's basically all I gave them for today. I'm out of here. There's no reason.
It's like I said, I'm sure we'll get like a half hour where we have good rotations, but it's gonna be another 2.5 hours probably this.
But I will be here tomorrow, of course. I mean, my rule right now with you guys is like, if it feels like there's a potential setup and things are looking good, I will stay longer. But if it feels like a complete waste of time for you and me, then I'm gonna leave. Right? There's no point in like us getting burned out together and just be here. Like, there's just no point. This is the setup. It's been the setup from the morning. Now it's just being patient and waiting. So, yep. You need to see acceptance back below this 1975 20 year, or just continue to rotate between basically this POC value until we push below. All right, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Actually, I'll see you class later today in
Goodbye.
3.5 hours. Peace.